a long time ago in a television series set in the 70s, WandaVision. It's a groovy episode, and they're all pregnant, and it gets wild and wacky, and things are no good on the outside.
Feeling great
on the inside.
Feeling good on the inside.
Hi, I'm Sparks Whitty. We're here for another Fake Nerds Watch. It's WandaVision episode 3. I am joined, of course, by Ryan Eliopoulos.
WandaVision. Flourish.
Brandon T. McClure.
WandaVision.
That magnet.
WandaVision in color.
So obviously we made the decision that we're going to talk about this one episode at a time because we really like enjoying the speculation. So this might not be a very long episode, but we got a lot to chew on.
Mysteries are fun. And I think Sparks put it well, like, if we do 2 episodes, then the 1 episode we speculate on will immediately get debunked. And so, like, it's fun to do 1 episode at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said that everyone's pregnant, I immediately assumed Vision was also pregnant.
It becomes twins, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
I watched this one a second time today for this recording, and I did not catch that they. I knew that I saw the papaya joke the first time. I did not catch the pineapple joke.
When she's cutting up pineapple.
When her belly gets bigger later in the episode, she's cutting up pineapple.
Because that's how long.
Because that's how big it's supposed to be. That's how far along. And I was I didn't get that we were still doing
the fruit
joke.
No, it's not fruitless,
but it is there. I really appreciated that.
I will say, I didn't notice that either. I will say, people, this show is it's a real sitcom. Like, it's actually, like, it's not half-assing a sitcom, which I think is the reason people still don't like it. Because, like, that's the biggest complaint I've seen from this episode is, they're still doing this gimmick. And I think people need to settle down, because that's what the show is. It's like, I don't
understand that. I don't understand that. Did anybody watch those trailers and think, this isn't going to be a sitcom?
I don't know. Like, I saw this episode's like, man, they really better hurry up. And I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, I thought this is.
I think it's definitely something where we're talking about an audience that's used to, like,
action.
Those you said you used the right word, like that being a gimmick. Like, it's like that episode of Supernatural where where Loki makes them go through different television shows. It's like that, but not on an extended actual in-depth scale. And they're like, I thought, when does the wall break?
It's not a 15-minute experiment. Like, the whole show's gonna be weird, guys. Like, I'm sorry, like, spoiler alert, the whole show's gonna be messing with eras.
I suspect the last 2 probably will just be like a Marvel movie kind of thing, but everything prior to will be weird.
Sparks, you reminded me of the Supernatural episode. That episode when what is his name? Sam is like, I have genital herpes.
Yes, that's the exact one where they did their own fake commercials too, and they had to do that, and so he had to come out and he's like, I have genital herpes. It's exactly like that, and I think that's just like, that is what most audiences are used to, is that it's just shtick for an amount of time, and it's like, it's fun because it's like a goofy, silly thing, but you just do it and then you go back to what the show is. Yeah, but this is the show, and they're not used to that kind of thing.
But also, what's so strange is, like, how far we've already come. Like, the ending of this episode is way further than I ever expected the show to get at this point.
Like every episode we're slowly getting just more and more and more, but it's still sticking with the TV trope thing. Which I commend them on.
I will say this is about how far I thought the show would go. When it was initially, we all thought it was a 6-episode series. And I was like, I definitely thought we'd be that. But knowing it's 9, that I'm like, but I'm glad it's moving at what feels like a natural pace. I really liked it. This is a great episode. Everything in WandaVision has been great so far. I really like this one. For me, we've most of us have talked about it off air. For me, this crystallized and cemented absolutely my opinion that Vision is his own entity unto himself. He is not a figment, and he is not controlled by Wanda, because of the ending of the episode specifically is showing 2 different approaches to their curiosity being in the realm, which is Wanda's is defensive and Vision's is like, he doesn't understand. And if Vision were something being controlled by Wanda, that would not make sense. He would be, in a way, informing Wanda's mind about things.
Well, it's even in that sequence when he's like, isn't this all strange? Like, It is. Wanda, don't you think that there's something strange happening here?
And then she reverses it again, which she again the show like she's more in control. Yeah, I think she did 100%, just like she did in the last episode.
I think she did because of how scared she looks when he was starting to realize because he did the same thing with Geraldine in a way because she's starting to like kind of like freak out like oh no don't think this and then like it reverses.
Yeah. Right. I am not convinced it's Wanda, but I'm also not unconvinced that it isn't. I was watching that one closely the second time and it just doesn't feel like we're given enough indication that she did it. Usually we see some amount of what she does to enforce something. Even with Monica, we see her magic around Monica when Monica comes blasting out of that thing. So we know it was her. Yeah. And that I guess like my point being, it felt like it was a clip out of reality rather than the rewinding we've seen Wanda do. Yeah. What it did is essentially rewind Vision to that moment. Yeah. But it's like that moment got erased and was a second take. And I wondered if that might be more whatever else is going on.
If that is, then it just also furthers the fact that there's more people that are messing with Wanda than what's appearing.
Real quickly, I think what Sparks talked about last week, which was the lucid dreaming thing, comparing Wanda's situation to lucid dreaming. I think that's what that is. That's more proof that's more evidence to satisfy the idea that she's in this dreamlike state, and then when she wakes up, she doesn't want to wake up, so she's like reversing things.
I absolutely understand that, Reed. And again, like I do not disagree. I think there is every good reason to think that is Wanda. My only stance at this moment is that normally when Wanda is affecting something, we watch Wanda do it in some manner. When something is being done to Wanda, we don't see the machinations of her involvement at all. Yeah. And that is one of those moments where we don't see that. And the other attached to what Ryan was just saying about while the ending of the episode also confirmed for me that Vision being his own entity thing, it did also, I think, make clear at least most of the townspeople are not Wanda controlled. They are controlled by something else because, again, they are all working on a faction that is separate from Wanda's line of thinking because we have Herb and Agnes talking about Geraldine. And again, that is outside of Wanda's purview. Those things are not tied to each other.
Geraldine is I saw this as a great reference. Like Geraldine is like the virus of the town, and like the townspeople are trying to like rectify the virus. The thing is though, like because like there's some ulterior motive at play, whether it's like magic or sorcery, so whatever it is. Whenever people enter this town, their mind becomes part of the TV show, so they forget what they're trying to do. And that's what I just love again so much about the show. Herb's trying to reach out, Agnes is trying to reach out, but things keep like just reverting them back to their TV show standards.
Well, what was one thing that was interesting that I didn't talk about, that I didn't notice last week, and I noticed it after the second episode that aired, and then we talked about it, is that Monica doesn't know where she is or what her purpose there until she touches Wanda's hand. And then all of a sudden the sitcom washes over her and she's part of that world now. But it's not until after she touches Wanda's hand, because before that she's like, wait, what am I doing? Oh, I'm Geraldine.
It's also like just anytime Wanda herself breaks the motif, it seems to break a little bit around, because that's when Geraldine makes the big quote of Ultron and Pietro is when she brings up Pietro. So it's like, as long as Wanda sticks in the dream, everyone else should be able to stick in it. But once Wanda starts realizing or starts remembering reality, like herself, it starts breaking around her.
You're right. And I think that's why Agnes didn't want Geraldine there.
Yes. Agnes, I think, is the bad guy.
100%. I think Herb is not in control of his own faculties at all. I think the only reason why Herb even starts to say things to Vision is because Agnes had engaged with him and allowed him some freedom. But Agnes is also the one who shuts him down.
Yes.
I think it's possible that Herb and a few others select members are sword agents.
And they're trapped in there too.
Who are trapped in there. But most of the people I now think are just townspeople. People of Westview.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor. I think the Doctor is just the Doctor in Westview.
Because of his line, it's so hard to escape.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So hard to escape small towns. Yeah.
Very ominous.
But I do think like Agnes is the reason why Herb's able to, like, again, that's not Wanda's waning control. That's Agnes's waning control, whatever representation Agnes is.
I think Agnes is a free agent. I don't think she's under control at this anymore. like especially with the herb stuff. I think she's just going with it, trying to make this reality work for some reason.
Well, so my argument about the end of this episode is that you as the viewer are being led, and I think it will work on a lot of people. Like, you are being led to believe that Monica is a dangerous influence, that she represents something being done on the outside, and Agnes represents protective influence to Wanda. But I think those things are reversed, and they're just showing us those things in a manner to make us believe that. Because Monica, we know that Monica's not really a dangerous force, but we also know that, like, especially I think effective for viewers who don't know that's Monica Rambeau, who are not like us, who are not.
I think that's most people.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're going to read that and think, that's the bad thing.
Yeah. And again, that's just like, that's something like we're like Mysterio. We know Mysterio is a bad guy.
Right.
So it's like comic book people know that she's not going to be a threat. But I guess that is kind of interesting for people who's like, oh, is she a bad guy? Like, should I be worried about Geraldine?
If you're not aware that Monica's supposed to be a good person, you read that and you think, Agnes is good. Herb is good. Monica is bad.
Well, if you think about it, like the ending of the episode when all the cars like come up to Monica and we see the whatever the force field is around Westview, it's played to be very ominous. It's shot in a way that's like, oh, Wanda's trapped in this thing.
Well, and again, not people who aren't us. The general audience don't know what SWORD is, have seen that same logo on the person who is watching the TV set, which looks more like they're the people doing a thing rather than monitoring.
People could, for all we know, people could think SWORD is a evil organization.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we have that knowledge for literally a decade of comic book history, but like SWORD to them could be like evil shield.
Importantly,
like, they don't know.
to most people.
In defense, or not in defense, but to like the Casey casuals who see the SWORD, they're like, oh, because even when I mentioned SWORD to Fanny when we watched the first episode, she was like, wait, so is that like reverse of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It's like, well, they work in conjunction with S.H.I.E.L.D., like the SWORD and S.H.I.E.L.D. She's like, oh, okay. Because when I explained it to her that SWORD and S.H.I.E.L.D. are on the same team.
Well, SWORD replaced S.H.I.E.L.D. initially, right?
I think
no. SWORD is Space Shield.
No, I mean in the movie it seems like
SWORD
has replaced
S.H.I.E.L.D. No, absolutely. Yeah. I think
either
S.H.I.E.L.D.
way, casuals probably would think, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D., and then there's a SWORD, so maybe SWORD goes against the S.H.I.E.L.D.
Exactly.
Well, importantly, like, those Casey casuals, like you said, Ben, they don't even know SWORD. Like that word hasn't been said.
Yeah.
It's never been said. We get what's going on that, in a way that a lot of people aren't going to, or maybe they're looking up the answers. But again, like it all goes back to, I think that ending is framed very specifically for us to want to be on Agnes's side. If you're not aware of the context of what's going on.
I mean, because look, like she gets blasted out and then a bunch of military people come to get her, like
100%.
Yeah.
But the important line in all of that I think really solidifies like why I think a lot of people are going to have to think more about Monica's part is that when she asked her, what did you say about Pietro? She very quietly, but under her breath says, I don't remember, when she's panicking, which again, like all that dialogue between her and Wanda is meant to make it look like she's hiding something from Wanda.
I think she's forgetting
it. She's forgetting. I think she's being regressed.
Yeah, I think again, like that whatever the magic wave is happening, she can't remember.
But the framing is supposed to make it look like deception.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the trick of what's going on right now at this point in the show is that for the larger audience, it is meant to be misdirection.
Subterfuge.
Right now. Yeah.
One of the things I do really like about that final sequence is her accent returns.
It returns for her brother's name, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I talked to you guys about last week. The fact that that's a deliberate choice. That's not an accidental. I accidentally slipped into a fake accent. No, that's a deliberate choice from the actress, from Elizabeth Olsen, saying like, I want that accent to be a more prominent part of this character. So when she talks about Pietro and she sings in Sokovian, that is once again like what I talk about. What I'm so excited about is that she has taken the reins of this character to kind of like, this is how I want this character to go. Which she hasn't before. I'm excited about that.
I love it.
Very excited.
I hate that it's taken this long to get back to it. That's all.
I love the instance, like when so you get the whole sitcom, the whole craziness of her getting birth to the twins, but I just love it when everything starts going absolutely crazy. Like when she's looking at the twins in her crib, and then she mentions her brother Pietro, and then
I'm a twin.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a twin, and then of course Geraldine Monica Rambeau goes, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? I was like, oh shit, we got name drop.
That's the first time that that's been referenced since Age of Ultron too.
A lot of
cool.
Well, actually, also a question: is this the first time that the word synthezoid has ever been said in the MCU? Because I think it has been. I can't remember if they ever, because we know what Vision is. He's a robot, but they never said synthezoid.
Maybe it's a shield, but definitely not like the MCU.
Yeah. None of the
movies. I don't think so.
It's probably just because I when I read Vision and I read Synthezoid, and then when I rewatched WandaVision today, she said, I was like, oh shit, yeah, they said it.
Yeah. I watching this and us talking about the Sokovian thing really makes me just sad about how Civil War totally missed an opportunity to engage with more Sokovian conversation because of Zemo. Mm-hmm. The fact that Wanda was such a focal point, at least at the beginning of that film, and he's also Sokovian, and that never amounted to any kind of exploration of that kind of shared trauma.
That's going to be in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Sure, but I mean, like, I just thought about that, and I'm like, man, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to harp on that one.
Well, I want to go back to the. I did have more to say about that sequence with the accent specifically because,
sure.
I really think that, and I just rewatched Civil War, and I don't agree with people that the accent disappears halfway through the movie. It's quieter than it was in Age of Ultron, but it's still there. But the fact that she can't say her brother's name without using the accent is a really nice, subtle character choice.
Yeah.
That she grew up her whole life speaking Sokovian in that accent, speaking her brother's name in that accent, and she cannot say it in an American accent. She can only say it in a Sokovian accent. I think it's a really subtle and really nice, sweet choice.
It is. And again, it is whether the accent's lightened or not, that's a choice that they made. Mm-hmm. And that is an accent that is not the same from her original movie. Mm-hmm. And that's something they easily could have kept, and those directors didn't. And it is not Elizabeth Olsen's fault. So I am very glad that it is returning. Because you watch a bunch of movies and she doesn't sound the same in any of those goddamn movies. So I think it's great. I love it that they're going back to the original thing where it's from. I think it's good. And again, it is super familial. And like, I am 100% now sure Aaron Taylor Johnson's going to show up for 5 seconds in the show as like a zombie ghost man or something, like whatever.
Or like, something. He's a manifestation of something.
Like, yeah, something.
I mean, like, the deeper it gets, it's very like, there's no way. There's almost no way we don't see him again. There's almost no way we don't see Ultron in some way.
I still just want, you're right, Brandon. I still just want James Spader just like to walk in, like the Full House.
Yeah.
God.
I have a feel. Part of me, I don't want this.
To be this kid.
Part of me, I don't want this, but at the same time, I wouldn't be mad if they did it. Is James Spader's cameo is like for Ultron brand suits or something?
No, they're gonna keep the 2 actors who keep doing the commercials for all the commercials. And I really like that gag running through. But I just didn't think about. I'm like 100 million convinced that James Spader will show up. No mocap, no anything. It's just James Spader. Okay. But I think it'd be funny as hell if a 8-foot tall robot walked through that door and be like, "Where's my grandkids?"
Wearing a Danny Tanner sweater. Absolutely.
It would be such a good gag to have him being like regular dress, like for the era James Spader, a person. But like towards the end of the episode, for like a single scene, he just like Vision shakes off into who he really is, and it's Ultron in the suit still and everything, just the same way that Vision does. And he's like, I want to see them to see my real face.
Maybe humanity isn't so bad.
No, they recreate the Age of Ultron where Ultron like pulls apart human James Spader and bursts.
Oh god! Like no, it's kind of like that scene in when Vision comes back. And she's like, "Don't you want to reimagine yourself?" And he turns back into the synthezoid.
That's a really sweet moment. That's a really sweet moment.
That's my favorite Vision face to regular face transformation. Is the one he does there where he gets like the glow going around and he just turns into the Vision. I think that looks the best of every Vision change that they've ever shown.
Also
so good.
Also, just another side note, another thing I just thought was hilarious is when they're holding Tommy and he goes, it's the classics like, no, we want to name him this, that. And then, of course, he sees his firstborn. He's like, oh, Tommy. She's like, Tommy? He's like, yeah, Tommy. And then he's like, oh, he's like, they both scream. It's like, what? It's Billy. There's another one.
real quick, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I told Sparks this. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and last week they were like, "Listen, I know WandaVision is crazy and it's doing crazy things, but if you guys actually think that those twins are showing up in this show, if you actually think that like they're gonna reference Age of Ultron, this is before episode 3. If you actually think any of that shit's showing up, like you guys are crazy. Marvel's not doing it." And I really just wanted to go on Twitter going, "So how's that episode, huh?" I just really wanted to, because I'm like, this really feels like the show. They're like, we'll do whatever we want. Like this is the show where we're like, throw everything in there. Who cares? We'll have cameo, whatever.
How does anybody watch those trailers and not think the twins are in this? Aren't in this?
They didn't watch it closely.
They didn't watch it closely. Yeah.
I
didn't know if the twins were going to show up, but then when I saw a clip of Wanda pregnant, I was like, oh yeah, her kids might show up in this movie.
There's a clip in the trailer with 2 cribs.
Yeah. Even after episode 2, I'm like, baby stuff's happening.
There was literally a shot in one of the trailers where they're just holding the babies.
They're still. It's from like I think it's from the 80s. I think it's from the next episode. Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to mention Age of Ultron, but at the same time, it's
see, that's good. It's awesome. Like nobody expected that.
Oh, that means okay. So we went through the 70s, which was the Brady Bunch. So that means next week this upcoming.
It's
Full House in the 1980s, which means hopefully we'll see Wanda in her classic Scarlet Witch costume and Vision in his classic costume.
The next episode is the Halloween episode. Yeah. So that's also the next episode from the trailer stuff. The next episode is where Vision is like doing Halloween stuff and the world's going crazy around him. So like I think we're slowly getting just more and more until it's going to be more real stuff eventually.
Yeah. This
maybe has the best joke of the 3 episodes, maybe where the lights go off after she's like, "Does this make me look fat?" And then he's like, "Oh my god!" Like that guy's the MVP of the show. Mr. Big Mustache Man. That guy's so funny. He has a hilarious joke every episode.
I love that was so good. So for me, I think Elizabeth Olsen is really great in the show, and I'm really happy to see her kind of like be a leading lady in the MCU, which she's really just been relegated to a side character for a lot of it, all of it. But I think Paul Bettany is really just grand in this show so far. He is doing things that I don't think he's ever been able to do in anything. He's just having a good time.
I mean, at least for 10 years, because like if he's been Vision. I mean, he's done obviously other like smaller like movies and stuff, but like he's been Vision, and that's basically being a robot. So like for 10 years, he's been a robot or the voice of a robot. So yeah, actually getting to progress that character into a way where you get to just be wacky and do stuff again like he's maybe never ever done before as a robot. Gotta be so much fun making the show, guys. Like I can't even imagine.
No, as much as I love Elizabeth Olsen in the role as Wanda, one of the main reasons why I just cannot wait to watch the new episode of WandaVision is actually for Paul Bettany as Vision. Because like Ryan, you said, he's been the voice of a robot. I remember over 10 years ago, he was Jarvis. He was just a voice, and we remember we were talking about it, or like me and Brandon were talking about how for Iron Man 2, Paul Bettany just recorded his lines over the phone because he just didn't give a crap anymore.
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was just he could record them over the phone. Okay. Yeah. Not because he didn't care.
Almost 13 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, he just recorded his lines over the phone, and then that was it. He was done. And now that he's Vision and he is having a blast as Vision, it's like I feel like he is having as much fun on this set as he was on Solo when he was the bad guy there.
Probably. Honestly, I think he's having more fun because the way he acts in
that magic show, you kidding me? That must have been the most fun.
Oh, yeah.
Flourish!
Yes, Paul Bettany's great. I do feel like Elizabeth Olsen got to shine more in this episode, which was good.
She gets a little psychotic head tilt that she does whenever she's about to do something crazy.
And she has great comedy with the coats and everything she's doing to hide the pregnancy from Monica. And the stork.
The stork is so good. Stork is so good.
When Monica is telling the story and she's like, "Oh no, oh yes."
And just going through the extreme pregnancy situation, I think she shines in this episode.
Yeah.
She's been doing great in the series so far, but I think she really shines here.
Yeah.
This is clearly a series where Kevin Feige gets to play with like really delving into stuff in the MCU he's always wanted to. Like it's in hindsight, it's like of course they're going to like dive into Sokovia stuff and all that kind. Like everything matters because that's what they've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
One of the things that's interesting about making an MCU TV series that I didn't realize would be a benefit is that the MCU exclusively deals with world-ending phenomenon. every movie is a major event. Well, except for the Ant-Man movies, but most every movie. Yeah, most every movie is a major world-ending event that a superhero has to save, and they're all good. And what we go to Marvel is for the character moments, and we don't often get the stuff that we get in comic books, which are the moments in between, the character interactions. We get a lot of that in comic books because those are monthly. We don't get a lot of that in those movies because they're 2.5 hours. But now we do. With these shows, we get those moments. We get more of those character interactions that we like so much, and it doesn't need to always be a world-ending event every week.
And what's cool is like WandaVision is like, again, like an experiment. It's not Falcon and Winter Soldier. So that show is going to be the real test of like, yo, this is just a 6-hour like MCU TV show. Yeah. Like, 'cause like this is like a weird experiment, like during an alternate reality kind of thing. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier that's an hour hanging out with those dudes every week. Like that's going to be really fun. I want them just to have dinner every week. Just yeah, man, let's just talk, and they're going to make fun of each other. Yeah, that is a good point. That is cool.
You finally get those moments that you get, the in-between moments in the comic books. You get, like, between the major event moments.
Yeah.
We haven't had this before, and I think that's really nice and really refreshing and a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel like with the Marvel TV shows, this gives Kevin Feige a way to play with the toys that in a way that he was never able to do before. Because before it's like, okay, you have a 2.5-hour movie, or in the case of Endgame, you have a 3-hour movie, and you're able to do this much. Whereas with a TV show, he's like, oh, I could play with these other toys that I never was able to play with. Now I have free reign. This is awesome.
Sparks, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, and I think it's gotten to a point where we can now let Wanda and Vision shine all the more in future projects and things because they have got this background established now. They're, now even if they're not like the singularly leading characters of future projects, they're going to be much more anticipated for their appearances. There's much more that can be done with them because of having this foundation.
So saying that, obviously we don't know where this show ends. People are really worried that the MCU is going to take the comics route and just turn Wanda into a villain who's psychotic and she's just damaged and that's a really bad way that character went for a long time after House of M, unfortunately. So like I really hope Scarlet Witch doesn't turn into the villain and then she's like a bad guy in Multiverse of Madness, because that is what people think is going to happen, and I don't want that to happen.
I definitely can see why people think that, and I'm not going to say they're wrong, because this could be a misdirection. I am only going to offer up the evidence that we have, which is that Kevin Feige said that Doctor Strange is going to train Wanda in Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, cool.
That's the only evidence I can offer in rebuttal to that, but it could have been a misdirection. Things change in the scripting process. So I
also trust Kevin Feige, and he knows those comics, and I'm sure he knows the history of Wanda just as much as the comic book fans. And again, after House of M, that was a lady who she made all the mutants disappear, so people hated her 15 years, and now she's the Pretender, which I think is a cool story beat. But that's also, again, this lady who pretended to be someone that she wasn't. So for a long time, Scarlet Witch fans have really hated what's happened to that character. So this was a nice way to recorrect that, but for them, it looks like it might be going in that direction again, and it's just going to be another, oh, she's a crazy lady. And I really hope that's not the case. I really hope it's like Mephisto or something making her do the stuff.
So I will also say, as we all know, Ben Affleck said it, Kevin Feige knows what the audience wants.
He knows.
So maybe he does.
Yeah.
I just don't think that she will be the villain by the end of it, because I do think there has to be another force. Agnes is representative of another force. There are clearly things Wanda's not in control of. She wasn't able to control the stork.
Yep.
She was not in control of the pregnancy.
No. Stuff from the comics again. When Wanda was pregnant, it was Mephisto who accelerated the pregnancy because he wanted the souls of those children. Not saying that's what's happening here, but there's been a lot of Mephisto Easter eggs and stuff. One of the things people brought up was when Geraldine gets shoved out of the thing, it looks like the orb around the town's blue. Wanda's powers aren't blue. Not that Mephisto's powers are blue either, but if Wanda was doing this, wouldn't it be a red force field or something like that? Again, that's just speculation.
I mean, there is that, but it's I think aesthetically it's supposed to look like a TV screen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yes, that's a good point. It is, yes. But I think
it looks like
Wanda's in control of the TV stuff, though.
Yeah, I think so. What were you gonna say, Ben?
No, I was gonna say because when Geraldine gets or when Monica Rambeau gets booted out of the thing, it looks like the RGB pixel TV screen thing. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's why. I'm pretty sure that's what's supposed to be.
But I mean, Ryan does have the point that why would Wanda's powers manifest in that way? It doesn't feel like they should.
It could be a mix of Wanda's powers and Agatha's powers.
But like, also, we haven't really dived into this aspect of Wanda's powers. Wanda, so far, we haven't seen the red haze in any of her abilities yet. So far in the show,
Rambo out,
right? Except for that, but within the world, she is using her reality warping powers that she had in the comics. She's not using her whatever the hell the ambiguous abilities that she had in the movies before now.
Finger powers.
Yeah.
As Cody Smulders famously said in Ultron, he's fast, she's weird.
Yeah, I always love that. That's really funny. That is kind of a problem that they set themselves up with, because if she's going to train under Doctor Strange, he's a magician. You've got to establish that that's magic. If that's what it is, because in the comics it's not just magic, it's also like dark dimension, like chaos, like weird magic, like it's a whole bunch of different stuff, and like reality warping powers. Magic's so different and weird in the Marvel universe. X-Men have their own magic, like magic's stupid, right? So they're just like opening up a can of worms, and I can't wait to see how they handle it. It's gonna be fun.
I respect Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Well, I think Doctor Strange has to treat it as, like it is the closest thing that they can relate it to as a form of magic, but it's something beyond understanding in the MCU because it's created from the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what the Mind Stone did. There's all rules are
space magic
decided is.
Yeah, space magic.
Or it's revealed at the end of the show that she is in fact a mutant, and the Mind Stone activated the abilities. That's also a theory I've seen bounced around that I'm not.
Yeah, I've seen every mutant theory under the sun, because everyone wants mutants. I get it.
I mean, like,
I don't think this show brings mutants into the MCU, but I do think this show, it's possible. I'm not willing to discount it. I'm not saying I believe it, but I think it is possible that at the end of the show, her powers are ambiguously different than we've come to understand them. And then when they introduce mutants, it's like, oh, and Wanda was always a mutant.
A lot of people are under the guess that like it's gonna be a opposite House of M, where she is somehow going to be like, we need more people like me because I know what I'm doing. So she's just gonna make people have powers or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think mutants have always existed in the MCU.
I just don't know. Like, man, that X-Men thing's so heavy. It's how to even do it. Like,
we're getting X-Men mutants somehow.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the key to that, and I don't think they're going to say Wanda's a mutant.
No,
I don't think that'll happen in the MCU because, frankly, at this point, if she's not the daughter of Eric, there's no point.
Absolutely.
Sure.
There's no reason to make her a mutant. It doesn't mean anything other than like you call her one.
And we know that her parents were like regular Sokovian people because they died.
Right.
Like they've said that. So unless they want to do a weird retcon.
The comics retconned her not to be a mutant because of the Sokovia thing in the movies. So
yeah, what a mistake. Right. And they were like, oh, sorry. We're so sorry.
And that was a bad idea in the comics. But I mean, for the MCU's purposes, like you gain nothing in naming her a mutant at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only good reason to do it would be if you're establishing that she is the daughter of Eric.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen, so there's no reason to do it.
I am at the point 3 episodes in, and it will change as we get further along as my opinions get solidified. I am of the opinion that I am leaving everything on the table at this point. Yeah. Anything can happen. I'm along for the ride.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am still leaning towards the Mephisto stuff just because Wanda's history with that character is so tied to the comics, and like everything we've seen like has some tie to the comics in a way. And I know Kevin Feige is so good with that shit. So it's like
this episode was one I told Sparks. This episode solidified my theory on some things and made my theories less so on other things. One of them is I am now like 90% sure Mephisto is involved.
Yeah. Like he's one of those dudes who's like too powerful. He's in another dimension. Like he can't do his bidding. He needs someone to help him. Like that's what's happening here or something. Like I don't know.
I think Agnes is an agent of Mephisto.
Yeah.
If I were to sit on it at this moment, that's what I would say.
God, I cannot wait. Oh, she's so good. I cannot wait for that heel turn if it happens. Oh boy.
Yeah. And that would make Mephisto. I think Mephisto would be better served as the main antagonist for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Big setup, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Because Doctor Strange and Mephisto also have huge histories together.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Doctor Doom.
And he can't do a time travel thing with Dormammu again. So what else are you gonna do?
God, could you imagine? I'm back.
Yeah. Mephisto, I pumped a bargain.
Yeah.
Anyway. I do think that there's an interesting, like, I know I said that I think Herb's an agent of S.W.O.R.D. and maybe some other townspeople, but I do think it's interesting that you could easily counter against that idea with that they all must be residents of the town because
for the children. I think of that
because Geraldine they specifically say she doesn't have a home.
Yeah,
everyone else has a home in the town, but Geraldine had no home, even though when she enters the house, she talks about the pipes in her house bursting.
I mean, that could be just a lie.
Well, like a character is activating.
I don't think Geraldine is lying. I think that, like this thing, the thing is that like the show is the reality. It's not like there's time between the episodes, not really. From the previous episode to this episode, there has been 12 hours. That's what Vision said.
Yeah.
So even as like things are progressing forward, the actual time between is not tangible, not real. So Geraldine is just turned into what fits the sitcom because the audience is Wanda and Vision.
Yeah.
I said, like a character was activated.
Right. So I don't think that she's lying when she says it, but that is the narrative that brings her to the house. And I think again, if you want to extrapolate beyond that, the idea that Agnes and them are constructing this narrative, they did that to put Geraldine there to push her out because they wanted either Vision or Wanda to do it. They didn't care how.
Yeah.
Which means that Agnes might not have direct power enough to knock someone like Monica out.
Yeah.
But she knew one of them could.
Yeah, she was put on the board, but she doesn't have like any advantages. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Anything else in this episode?
We didn't talk about the commercial.
Oh, the Agents of Shield. Beautiful. Love it. God bless you guys. Thank you, Kevin Feige.
That is definitely one of those things that. What I like so much about the fact that he's doing this is that he knows that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has fans. He may not be willing to make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. continuity, but he's also not willing not to, which I find fun. And this was just kind of like, hey, for you Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, you'll get this one.
Oh, so that's what. So what was the joke? Because I didn't.
So the blue soap. It's a Hydra blue soap in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4. When they go to like the Matrix thing and the LMD is controlling the world.
Hydra fake reality world.
Yeah. Phil Coulson talks about
they're put where?
Yeah. Phil Coulson talks about how he doesn't use the blue soap that makes everyone like complicit with like the mind control complicity. He makes his own soap. And he specifically says it's blue soap. And this is a specifically blue Hydra soap. So
maybe
makes you feel like you're somewhere else without being there at all.
Good Lord. I love it. What a magical place to heat is.
I definitely think that's something where it's cute and fun for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. And he also knows it works as a red herring.
Yeah.
It works as a, like, you could say that this is the thing doing it.
Yeah.
It's not, but you could say it. You could think it.
Next time they go into a bathroom, I'm gonna like freeze frame it and go, "Where's the soap? Gotta find the soap."
Yeah.
Wanda has a Hydra soap. Man, I want that watch.
Literally, just like as you, I had already thought before, but you're just like laying it out. It's like, yeah, it's that part where they were in that false reality created by Hydra.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, where? I
immediately was like, smart son of a bitch. God damn.
I don't think Feige wants to revisit the Hydra well so soon, but I do think that was a fun little like, hey guys, remember when this happened?
Right. I mean, like, I stand by that. I don't think Hydra agents are actually like directly involved in what's going on here, but I do think that it's a good misdirection. It's an easy thing because if you're an MCU fan, you know Hydra, you know that's there.
Hey, remember this other time this happened before?
And you know, like you understand the relevance of that, and it is relevant because Hydra was Strucker, and Strucker did do this to Wanda and set this path up. So.
So I was wrong. I speculated that the next thing would be Ultron related. I think we'll get there because I do think the people who hurt her the most.
That feels like a later one. Like they're gonna save Ultron. I feel like.
I think it was a better idea to not have the Ultron commercial on this one because it allowed when Ultron's name is said by Monica for that to feel like a big moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my God! When I didn't even talk about my reaction to that moment when she said he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? I had chills. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and then
you just said something real
again, and then like Geraldine like reverts back into her 70s form, and Wanda's like, no, what'd you say? And like she's fighting it, like what did I say? I have no idea.
She's trying to get back on track with the narrative, and then Wanda's really pushing it. She's like, I I don't remember.
You gotta go, honey.
Yeah.
Apparently there is a deleted scene where she shoves Geraldine out of the house.
And we see her rebuild. We see in the trailer like she's rebuilding the wall.
Yes, that's exactly. There's a scene where that happens and that's cut out. And he's like, "What happened to the wall? Oh, just redecorating, honey, or whatever." Like, it's actually more sinister without that, which I like.
Yeah, I like that too.
Again, like I think the framing of it is meant to make you feel like Monica's antagonistic force.
Yeah.
And Agnes is not, but the truth is the opposite.
See, well, now what I want is like the very first thing you see in episode 4 is just Jimmy Woo's face in the camera. Monica, is that you? And it's like, oh my God, this is our hero. But it's not going to be that. I just want Randall Park.
I want Randall Park to be practicing a magic trick.
Me too.
God, yeah. Like, you think she'll teach me some of that?
Just trying some cards, like.
Because that dude's hella goofy, and Darcy's hella goofy. Like, what is that stuff gonna be? Is that gonna be serious, or are we gonna have a bunch of goofballs? Like,
I love when it shows like that meme that goes around. That's all the magic users, like Doctor Strange and Wanda and everything. It's like one of these people survived Thanos, and it's just Scott Lang vomiting.
Yeah,
the playing cards. I think I remember that meme.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was very good.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was very good.
Oh man,
my favorite part about that scene is the stepdad just staying there like, "How'd you do that?"
I might watch Ant-Man and the Wasp tonight when I'm done with this.
It's so good. Ant-Man and the Wasp is so good. Anyway, WandaVision's great.
Yeah. I think that probably covers it, right?
Yeah, I think that's everything about this episode. Oh, another thing, just like I had a conversation with friends where they were talking about, so Herb clearly has agency. He's in on this. Like he's malicious and he's aware of what's going on. And I'm like, no, he isn't.
I don't think
he's allowed freedom, because in the exact same episode, they show you that he doesn't have agency. He starts sawing into the brick wall.
Yeah.
He's obviously not always in control.
Sure looks like I did Vision. Ain't that crazy?
He's sawing into the bricks.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, no, I think that he's allowed a moment of lucidity.
Yeah.
But he's not in control. He's not like malicious and aware all the time. Or that brick wall moment.
It's like all these people are blacked out and like they just have like a sense of consciousness and like, wait, what happened? Nope, I'm drunk again. Like it's
But that's a really good point, because we talk a lot about Vision, whether or not he's real or not. The fact that it's clear all of these people are not manifestations of Wanda who just inhabit the place. They're real people that have been taken over by whatever. Vision acts the exact same way, which means that he has to be a real person and not just a figment.
Unfortunately, Vision is just as much a victim, but he's like the main character. He has no control over his reality, which is really sad.
Which again is like, Wanda's a victim too.
Absolutely.
Like Wanda has an amount of control here, but this is something that is being done to her.
Yeah.
And the only person who doesn't seem to have anything funky happen around, like for her, is Agnes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I mention that her rabbit was named Mr. Scratch?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, people keep showing me things and I'm like, where are you at, devil? Where are you at, big boy?
It definitely feels like that's going to be a part of the, I'm really interested in, what I'm most interested in is how this spills into
the big blockbuster.
Not into the Multiverse of Madness directly. I kind of can get that one. How this spills over to Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jesus Christ. Alfred Molina walks out of WandaVision's house.
You know what? I'd be into that. Not like as Doc Ock. Not like as Doc Ock, but like Alfred Molina. This show would be great.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
That was great. I love it. I don't know. I guess I'm lucky that I haven't been seeing people complain about it on Twitter or anywhere else, but I've been loving it. Everyone that I've seen who talks about it is just like, give me the next episode. Can't wait.
I wonder if Sony was like, watch the trailer for WandaVision. Like, didn't consult Kevin Feige. It was like, oh, multiverse thing? Hey, we're going to do a Spider-Man multiverse thing. We'll tie it into Doctor Strange and WandaVision. And Kevin Feige's like,
Kevin,
what?
Throws a pen across from him. He's like,
Amy?
God damn it, Amy.
Let's go! Fine.
No. What it is that they come in and they're like, hey, so we'd like Benedict Cumberbatch for the next Spider-Man. He's like, oh, well, that's interesting. What you thinking of? And they're like, well, we saw WandaVision is going to connect to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And Kevin's like, Jesus Christ.
Damn it, Amy.
He's like, oh, son of a bitch. He's like, well, we did Spider-Verse. He's like, that was an animated film. That was different.
He's in his bunker. Amy has the code to the bunker for some reason, and he doesn't know how.
God. No, Amy's like, no, I watched the trailer.
She definitely always has to be escorted in like black hooded, and like she's always like kind of cheery about it. She's like, oh, hey, Kevin, and he's like, God, Amy, what?
Oh my God, he's getting coffee, and she accidentally runs into him, but she's been stalking him for 6 months. Oh, Kevin, crazy running into you. I got the script for the Spider-Man movie. Oh, I'm sorry, Amy. You're probably nicer than that.
Okay, I like the narrative that we've created that Kevin Feige lives in a bunker, just locked away.
Like six locks, like bioscans, like eye lasers, like.
And somehow Amy Pascal always gets in.
Yeah,
yeah. So do like that voice authentication, like Edna Moe does in her house.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Kevin always has to wear baseball caps because the sun's too bright every time he goes out.
Exactly.
Anyway,
he's a vampire. That's WandaVision.
I did want to talk about. I rewatched the first 2 episodes again this last week because I went to see my parents. They hadn't seen WandaVision yet, so we all sat down and watched it together. My mom is totally up and up, huge MCU fan, follows it, not a problem. My dad has watched all of them at least once, maybe a few of them more than once. And so we're watching it, and we got halfway into episode 2. And my dad's like, I have a question. And I paused it, and I'm like, sure. And he's like, I like what's happening, but I don't understand how this takes place in the 60s.
Sweet, man.
Yeah, how is this before everything, like in Endgame and Ultron and all that? And I'm like, Dad, this is happening after Endgame. And he's like, how could it be after Endgame? It's the 60s.
Oh, I love it.
That's great.
We hadn't gotten to the end of the episode where it becomes at least a little bit more clear that it's not real in a sense, because it changes to the color and everything, and it's like, this is a fictionalized reality, and certainly episode 3 will crystallize that for him. But like, I didn't realize that we were sitting there the whole time, and he's like, right, okay, trying to place this in the timeline. Wanda and Vision in the 50s.
Yeah.
Just after Captain
So
America.
They know Captain America, right?
Right, yeah.
All right.
Last thing I want to say, Billy and Tommy, it's Wiccan and Speed. They're the Young Avengers. They're part of the Young Avengers. Like, the Marvel, what's great about the MCU is, like they're able to make a movie and set other things up. But now that we're so far in the MCU, we are just building and building and building and building. And it's like so much cool stuff is coming just from these first 3 episodes. And like the Young Avengers have been born. Most of the Young Avengers are around now. That for me, as a big fan of that series, like, I can't believe it. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get those guys in a couple years, maybe.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
I love it. It's like dream come true, baby.
It was definitely the casting of America Chavez in Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. So I was like, okay, the Young Avengers are coming.
Oh yeah.
Not for nothing, by the way. Like, I bring up the story about my dad because it's a great perspective for us of like super removed viewer.
Yeah.
Like he's watched it all. But to be fair, like, he watched the last like 5 years last year.
Yeah.
Like he's not keeping up. He's not keeping it all in his brain, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that we should have we didn't do the Legends on Disney Plus for him.
Yeah.
And I realized after that we probably should have, that he's the person that's made for.
I've seen a lot of people, like a lot of more of my casual friends, watch that, and like, and they say like they liked it because like it did help them and stuff.
I can totally
just to remember, because like not everyone wants to have to watch all the movies again if they don't want to.
Zara forgot everything. She loved it.
But to my father's credit, like, he was confused about WandaVision because he did remember Vision was dead.
Yeah,
and he's like, this has to be a prequel. He's dead. And I'm like, well, you're right. They haven't told you how he could be alive or anything.
Black Widow coming out soon.
You're coming in real quick on it. And so you're having to find your place. He found nothing in the first episode funny.
Oh,
absolutely.
No.
He sat there and he liked watching it, but it didn't make him laugh. He did not laugh out loud hard until just before the magic show. He loved the whole magic show bit. But he laughed the hardest at, I was just playing with his shoes, and Dad died.
That was my grandmother's piano.
That's a really good joke too.
It is. It's really good, but it was nice because like I got the multiple perspectives, because my mom's like, not us, but she keeps more of the MCU in her brain. She's watched most of them more than once. so she's kind of got the language of it, and she's just gelling with it. She's like, yeah, this is weird and funky. I love it. And my dad having to go, I don't get it. How does this work?
I love it. That's fantastic.
It's so funny, but it's working.
Okay, that'll do it. I love talking about a 30-minute episode for almost an hour.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So as we said, we'll do WandaVision every week because the speculation is the fun of it. It's a lot of fun to do the speculation. So we're gonna keep this up. And so we'll be back next week with another episode of WandaVision. Sorry, this one was late, but probably the next one will be a little bit earlier if we can coordinate that. So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Make sure to like this video as well. That helps a lot. Or you can find us on www.fakenerdpodcast.com, where everything is on there. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
I am BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter.
Sparkles?
You can find me completely under the belief that Vision is his own entity at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan?
You can find me DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
I just remembered, not for nothing, I do want to bring up, friends of the podcast, Sam Sullivan, brought up that she thought it was interesting that Vision suddenly had super speed, and she felt like it looked a lot like Quicksilver's super speed. And she is of the belief that Vision is not tangible, not real, is a figment. And so she was like mixing him up with Pietro and giving him his powers. And I'm like, well, you're not wrong that we've never seen Vision use super speed. So I'll grant you that.
I've never seen Wanda use powers that she's using in the show.
Yeah, exactly.
There is the line where their doctor's like, it felt like I was flying, which I think that's what was actually happening. He was flying, and in this fake reality, it just looked like 70 super speed.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Ryan?
DJ Tony Snark everywhere. Pop pow.
Pop pow.
Until next time, guys, don't change that dial.